Hey guys, how are you? Dr. Leah here to visit and see what's up here again and let you know what's going on in terms of. And I want to start off by saying, because I don't want to front, and that's the fact that I don't watch TV, I don't go to movies. So when it comes to people who are of celebrity status, I have to get that sort of information from my nieces and nephews. I don't know. So, but they come to me about things and they want advice and they want to basically incorporate what is going on in pop culture and how I feel and or best know how they can or handle it because I'm not that much older than they are. I'm the youngest of my siblings, so they can relate to me a little bit better. So I'm sort of like that auntie, I'm even close with my nephews. So I just wanted to say that first, so that I'm not coming off as though I know something or I'm avoiding some information that I'm not. Okay. I understand that the young lady they tell me, Tia, look at this, Auntie, look at that, and they want me to look at a specific thing and tell them what I can extract from it. And from about her thus far, it seems as if her image or the image in which she's projected. Because let me say this first that you must know when it comes to people who are celebrity famous. I don't care if it's a certain image that they have a brand. What may not necessarily be in sync with who that person really is. And it usually is about what that market is that calling for at that particular time. So they tell me about this lady, uh, Cardi G, and I listen. And they tell me, what to expect, what to watch, that sort of thing. So strangely enough, I found some common ground with this young lady. If someone put a gun, honestly, to my head right now, I couldn't tell you one of her movies. Wait, in fact, she may not even be an actress. She, I don't know. I just know she's a celebrity, but she would have to be, I guess, a singer because I don't think they would come to me about an actress. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say that she's a singer. Okay. So, but one thing I have to say is the common ground that I found out about her is that when they told me about her and they'll give me a website or whatnot, I don't even use cell phones. I still have a landline in my home and I use that. I don't like text or anything like that. So they'll call me or my mom even has a cell phone or they'll, ask her to send me a message or whomever speaks to me first will convey that message. So in my, I don't want to say investigating because it makes it seem as though she's being interrogated, which she isn't. But in my observing this young lady, I found that the common ground that she uh, shares with me via them is something called ASMR. And ASMR is an acronym for, okay, autonomous sensory. Let me just read, okay, because I want to make it to where you can understand it as well. Um, God, it's autonomous sensory, uh, autonomous sensory. I'll put it up before we go, okay? But it's a responsive type of a feeling that one gets. Okay, it's autonomous sensory something response. Okay, I think it's autonomous sensory. But if you know what it is, go from there. If you don't, you can like go to your computer and you can um, Google it. But what one expects to get from ASMR and the intention behind ASMR are absolutely two different things. Okay? Because ASMR has the potential to be used for MK Ultra mind control. Okay? So it's extremely important that you realize that when you are indulging in ASMR, that you can very easily find yourself in a situation where it is a ploy for mind control. And that's something that you definitely do not want to be a victim of, of, of mind control. You don't want that. Um, that's a bad thing. Okay, so here we go. ASMR is autonomous, since autonomous, that's the A, sensory, meridian response. Okay, so we got autonomous, and autonomous means independent. Okay, sensory, your senses. Okay, meridian is used to control and adapt for all time and any time. Because if you think about it, the only other time that you really hear the term meridian is post and ante, AM and PM response. Okay? So autonomous, sensory, okay? Um, I don't want to say it's a bad thing. That's why I'm kind of pausing here. So, autonomous sensory meridian response, because it's not always used for that. Okay. But you can literally be a victim of mind control via ASMR. And ASMR can and usually is the function that is put out there, the function that is conveyed for ASMR is so that people can go to sleep. And ASMR is something that people use who have a difficult time trying to sleep. Okay. And excuse me, when one uses ASMR as a mechanism to fall asleep, it they recommend that you put on headphones and you listen to the ASMR. It's almost always in a whisper, and sometimes it's even what they call inaudible ASMR. Stay away from those. Okay, now I recommend that you stay away from ASMR altogether. Okay, and you'll find I was shocked to learn that this young lady, Cardi B, was doing ASMR. And you will find that a lot of celebrities are growing towards ASMR, not only partaking in it, most of them don't even know what it is, never heard of it, but their publicists or managers or whomever are telling them to indulge in ASMR and make ASMR videos. And that's what they're doing. They're making these ASMR videos and they are putting them up on YouTube and different websites where they can be posted. And if you see your favorite artist, even Janet Jackson has an ASMR video. And not to excuse her, not that she needs excusing or anything like that, but personally, this is just me. Dr. Leah believes that Janet, I know Janet Jackson. Okay, I work with her for some time. I used to double for her. Um, I started working for her during the years ago when I was pursuing acting, um, many, many years ago, and I was her double. And when she was doing poetic justice, and we started working together. So when I say double, I don't mean body double. I took my clothes off or anything like that so she could. No, just you know, in a nutshell, really quick, like I always generally say, sidebar. Tupac had a situation, and they have a budget when they're making movies, and when they're making movies, they have to stay on that budget. And he had gotten arrested, and the budget started to become tight because of time. So she would go to one location and shoot, and I would go to another location and shoot with him. And that's basically what happened. And this was during the time when I was really deep in the business, you know. So when I tell you things or when I say things about the business, I'm not just like pulling things, like randomly out of the air. I'm telling you what I have literally experienced. Okay. So I believe from my knowing Janet, in fact, I met her on my birthday. I did. I met her on April 3rd. I'll never, yeah, that's how I always remember when I met her. And the gentleman who I was dating at the time, whose house where she was like, "This is your birthday present." Yeah, but that's neither here nor there. Funny story behind it. But anyway, if you're interested in hearing that story, a story time, comment down below, and I'll answer whatever questions you may have about that. But and also, you guys, please subscribe and thumbs up if you like this video. Hopefully, you do. But anyway, um, getting back to the subject at hand, Janet has an ASMR video, more than one actually. And I don't believe that, in my knowing Janet, that she do anything adverse or mean or try and manipulate anyone using ASMR. I think that if anything is going on adversely with the ASMR video that she posted, she has done so innocently. And that is my true belief, point blank, period. But like I said, when in doubt, that's my that is like my mantra. When in doubt, don't. Okay. I even went to the degree of thinking of making my own ASMR videos for you all who are into ASMR so that you can trust that particular outlet of ASMR and definitely stay away from. I've never even heard an inaudible. I don't even know what that means. An inaudible ASMR video. What the heck is that? How do you? I mean, that makes no sense to me. But the purpose of it is to help you to sleep. And trust me, you will go to sleep. And then while you're asleep and you're listening to this ASMR video, they can say things that are trigger words that normally you wouldn't think anything about. Okay. But it gets into your psyche, and it can potentially get into your subconscious mind. And you don't want to wake up and everybody in your house is dead at your hands. I'm telling you. So be really mindful of these ASMR videos. Okay. Now, back to Miss Cardi B. And I'm almost certain, oh my goodness. Yeah, it's definitely a lady. Yeah. Because I did see an ASMR video that Cardi B posted. And I have a very rare gift of being able to feel someone's energy. That's just something that I've been given. And again, I'm very, very, every day I'm learning. I'm learning every day, just like you are with these words and these etymological, terms. You have to be really mindful. I don't even say blessed anymore, because someone would ask me, hey, hi, Dr. Lay, how are you? And I'd say, oh, I'm blessed and elevating. How are you? No, because blessed is to be less. Okay. Blessings is to be in the process of being less. That's not what you want. Be careful. You have to be vigilant with these things. Okay. And I may be saying something right now that I may have to come back and say, hey, I made a mistake. Don't say that anymore. And this game is so serious right now. I might have to come back here and say, don't say anymore because of whatever reason. So anyway, I'm listening to this young lady's ASMR video, and it worked. But I always make certain that I listen to it. I come in tune with it first. I don't listen to anyone's ASMR video without first having the direct attention and perspective and intent to listen to it without its purpose, which is to go to sleep. Okay. You don't want to be, because that's what ASMR is for, hypnosis. So I listen to it first with activity going on around me to make sure that I have evaluated it and that there is nothing there that is or can be adversely effective to and or for me. In fact, I'm going to put down maybe one or two different ASMRs who I think are trustworthy. At this point, anything is subject to change, but at this point, I believe that they are in it purely and not for anything outside of it. Paris Hilton has a ASMR, um, not channel, but I think it's some Vanity Fair or someone like that has different people to come on and do ASMR every now and again. And when you first hear about it, you're like, what? This makes no sense. But believe me, it works. And it's depending on you, it can be potentially very soothing, and when you put your guards down and you relax, that kind of thing can happen. And I was able to tap into Cardi B's energy. And I can tell you that that is a genuine chick. That's a good girl. I don't know. I've never heard not one of her songs. I'm telling you, if somebody came in here and said, name one of her movies or sing one of her songs or something like that, or whatever, or we're going to blow your brains out, it'd be brains all over the walls because I can't. I don't know. But I listen to it and I can see that she exudes such goodness. And I hope that this message is not in any way going to, in a negative way, affect her brand if she's supposed to be a bad girl, because that's not a bad girl. She's a good person. I can tell she's a good person. And not only that, I can tell that she is not only just a good person, but she's striving to be a better person and that she's extremely intelligent. I can see that, but sex sells, negativity sells, um, you know, unfortunately, violence it sells. But if that's what she's portraying, I'm not saying that she's fake. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, it's all about entertainment. And if you're being entertained by this young lady, then she's done her job. But I believe that I know that that is a good, genuine person, regardless to what it is that you see. So whatever she does when she steps on stage, that's one thing. But when she steps off, I sincerely believe that I know that that is a good girl. That's a good woman. She's a good person. That's something that, you know, is important at the end of the day, that if that's important, maybe it's not important to you. Maybe as long as that person is entertaining you, that that's the only thing that you're looking for, and that's the end of it, you know? And I have to go into my usual etymological, spiel, and that is with celebrities. Okay? Celebrity, just the idea and the act of celebrity is a violation. It's a universal violation. Okay? To be a celebrity is a violation, period. It just is. Okay? Celebrity comes from the root word celeb, okay, or celebrations. Okay, we've all celebrated something before in our lives, be it our birthday, the winter solstice, which some people like to call Christmas, Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, whatever. You celebrate it. Okay, it's a big deal, you know, once a year. But doing or going into the act of celebration once a year is not overwhelming. In fact, I'm going to retract that. It is overwhelming. The cooking, the cleaning, the buying, the shopping, the traffic, the this, the that. It's very overwhelming just for the prep time, let alone the actual festive celebration. Okay. And then there's the post celebration where you got to clean and get over it and get it out of your mind and get ready for the next celebratory festival or festive or feast or what have you. And we'll get on that one too. Can you imagine having the highest level of celebration every day? I mean, think about it. Every day having that. Woo ha, all the woofla every day. Your body, your mind, your soul cannot take that. Every brown, melanated person is equal. We make celebrities, okay? We do that. We are the ones who put our dollars into them and make them, I like to say, celebrated or wealthy, but not rich. Okay. And I'll get to that in a second. But please understand that celebrity is a violation. That's why they have so many freaking problems. That's why they have so many different cases that they catch and odds that they're in. And you have to understand, and they might say, oh, this person or this celebrity is totally unapproachable and whatnot. But you have to remember, if you see a celebrity today, let's say we're talking about Cardi B, so let's just use Cardi B. If you see Cardi B wherever, let's say at the market, you see her, and you see her, and you go up to her, that's one encounter that you've had with her, okay? And you're happy about it, excited about it if she's someone you like. I don't believe in fans because or fanatic because that comes from the root word fanatic or fanatical, and one shouldn't be fanatical about anything or anyone. Okay, for obvious reasons. Okay, that's one encounter. Can you imagine every single time a person? Again, we're talking about Cardi G or is it B? I think it's B. Cardi B running into. You just saw her one time and that's it. But can you imagine every corner she goes through, she has to stop, 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 and then when she stops, say the right thing, whatever that is. That becomes overwhelming. It's a universal violation to put someone on that type of elevation. To elevate someone like that, that is a universal violation, point blank, period. No way of getting around it. It's just a violation, period. Okay. Um, I personally don't go to movies because they do, in fact, do MK Ultra in movie theaters. That's how all of those things went awry with that Harry Potter stuff. I think I touched on that in a previous video, when I was teaching kindergarten to put myself through law school, and these kids are reading these huge, thick Harry Potter books. I knew something was going to go wrong then. You know, something was. I just felt it. Like I said, I've been blessed with knowing, and I just know things, and I've been blessed with that. So again, with these ASMR videos, um, uh, and the Cardi B thing, and she's doing her ASMR and whatnot, and it's very soothing. Um, Again, just don't get caught up in that, because if you've ever seen Sinatra, Frank Sinatra, that is, in the Manchurian Candidate, they send him through a phase of MK Ultra mind control via lights, and it's the exact same lighting situation that they have in theaters. The flashing going on, you know what I'm saying? And you're a captive audience at that particular point while they're doing these lights and shows and action. And trust me when I tell you that the lighting is in sequence with what they are saying. Okay. To my understanding, during the Harry Potter phase, they had kids dropping dead in the theaters. It's really really not a good thing. So if there's like a doc out that someone suggested that I see, there was one in particular. I don't know the name of it. It was about Hillary Clinton. She was some type of a water something girl, and she kept saying nigger and niggas ain't shit and all this different type of stuff that we already know Hillary Clinton and white folks say, but it was actually a movie in the theaters. And Greg told me, he asked me, he said, "Have you seen it?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, go run and see it quick, because I know they're going to pull it," which they did. And it's just not a, um, what I would call a plausible thing. Don't get me wrong. I've never really been a music person. I remember my first encounter with music that I can recall was introduced to me by my dad. He was he was a Motown guy. When I say Motown guy, I mean he was in that particular age group. That was his generation. He played Motown so much and oldies but goodies to a degree where I literally thought that songs that Stevie Wonder currently had out in the 70s were old. I thought they were old songs from like the 60s. I didn't know, because he played them all together. I think, just, you know, I love Stevie Wonder, don't get me wrong, but I've never been one to embrace music as such. That's just never been my thing. The first album and the first time I ever got into a musician or bought an album was the Thriller album. And I literally listened to other artists on the radio just as a pastime to wait for them to play Michael Jackson. You know, I watched videos at that time. It was I think, early 80s or so. There was this show called Video One. And I think it came out of the BBC. And Europeans would, this European guy, I think he was European, would host the show. And it was called Video One, some blonde guy. And they start from the last video. They do what they call a countdown, but they're actually counting up. And let's say there's 10 songs, or 10 songs in the top 10, or the top whatever, 100 million, whatever. They will start from number 10 and go up to number one. And when they do that, they would show the videos versus just playing the song. So generally, they got an opportunity to play the entire video from number 10 up to number 2. But when they would get up to number 1, which Michael Jackson always was, sometimes he was even in the 1 and 2, and sometimes even the 3, 2, and 1 spot. But the number 1 spot would always be held by Michael Jackson. And I was like what I like to call a captive audience there until they got to whatever was number 1, Beat It, Billie Jean, or whatever was, you know, popping at that particular time. So I had to sit through songs and videos that I wasn't necessarily into. But after you see something every day repetitiously, you learn the songs until another one comes and knocks it out of the spot. So, but via that channel, I learned about Wham, and George Michael. I learned about Cyndi Lauper, and when Latoya Jackson had her album out, Heart Don't Lie. Video one was the first time I ever saw Whitney Houston, and she was singing "You Give Good Love," uh, all kinds of stuff. Nita Baker, uh, again, people who I wouldn't even know about to this day if it weren't for the fact that I had to wait for the countdown to go through to get up to Michael Jackson. So it's no secret to people who know me that I love in the present since Michael Jackson. I mean, there's just like no one is who's above that man in terms of the totality of his humanity. And I'm not talking about the entertainer. I'm talking about the man whom I also was fortunate enough to meet, know, and spend time with. Great, fabulous, unmatchable human being. Janet's a great girl. She really is. She's really sweet. Michael, however, is on the other side of the game, and that's how you know that we come through our parents and not from them. Because you raise all your children the same, but at some point, the you that makes you you is going to unfold and explode. And that's what, it did with him. Michael is amazing. He's an amazing human being. And he wasn't just, what I like to call, a song and dance man. He's a great human being. He really, really is a great human being wherever his spirit is. And as we know, energy can neither be created or destroyed. So it's out there somewhere. And if you notice, when Michael transitioned from this earth, the rest of his family just soared. Everybody got a little bit of quote unquote fame, a little bit more celebrity when he died. And they rode that wave as long and as far as they could. I'm not saying that they capitalized arbitrarily on his death. I'm just saying, as a result of his having died, they all took that trajectory and went. They just did, you know. So I'm saying all that to say that when he died in '09, that's when I started to fall away from music. So anyone who didn't come out on or before '09, when Michael passed away, I have no idea who you are. Point blank, period. I mean, not to be shady or anything like that. It's just that music in me just didn't. It's just music's just not in me that way. Another thing that happened with that situation and being celebrated is Kanye West. Okay, in '09, I stopped watching television. I stopped listening to the radio. I knew that the energy that is Michael Jackson was out there, and I wanted some of it in terms of the man, of the human being, to be able to touch bases with, uh, stretch out arms with the Holy One. Because for anyone to reach the magnitude that that human being reached, to reach that what he reached, There's no way possible under the sun that one could do that without being in collusion with the Most High. There, it's just absolutely no way. And I wanted whatever part of it that I could get. And I remember Greg telling me that he put Michael on a 30-day water fast. He put him on this 30-day water fast, and he was constantly growing, learning. Mike, some people don't know Michael was a great artist. And I say artist, I mean he could draw really well. He was a very good drawer. Uh, art was his thing because he was well traveled. He was just amazing. Just I never met anyone like him before in my entire freaking life. Never have I ever met anyone even remotely close to who he is and or what he was and will always continue to be. Um, Now, I understand that, and I could be wrong, but I hear that one person who I really did enjoy prior to '09 is a young guy who came out of Chicago. His name was is Kanye West, and I didn't buy this record, but I heard of it. College Dropout. And with College Dropout, I thought that it was such a wonderful record. I think he went to an HBCU. I think, I'm not certain, but I just really enjoyed his music, and I almost literally passed out when my nieces told me that he married some white girl. I said, "Come on now, y'all, you got to be kidding." Okay, and they like to mess with me a lot. They do, So if they're messing with me, can you comment? Let me know whether or not he really did marry a white girl. I can't believe it. I just can't. It's difficult for me to believe, but they like to mess with me, but I mess with them too. So it's like, I just can't believe it. I mean, of all people, that this guy, that goes back to brand, you know, um, maybe he was doing that. Well, see, first of all, you can know when someone's faking because they won't be as convincing, you know. So I can say in all honesty that I believe I know he wasn't faking and that wasn't a part of his brand with the things that he would do, the things, that he would say and whatnot, which takes us back to MK Ultra uh mind control. I understand that he said something to the effect of slavery being a choice. I didn't hear him say that. I'm repeating what someone else told me. And I understand that he had gained some weight or something like that. And he got some type of cosmetic uh, uh, process. I don't know. It could have been an augmentation. If he gained weight, it's going to be the reverse. So, I mean, but I can say this, if he did say it and he believes that slavery was a choice, then that means that his ass being fat is a choice too, because all he has to do is turn his plate down. You turn it down, it can be done. Back up off that plate. All I can say is back up off that plate, black up off of it. That's all you have to do. It's not very difficult. Find a pastime, find a book. I don't expect everyone to be as a voracious reader as myself. I'm an avid reader. I love to read. It doesn't have to be reading, it could be something else. Find yourself something um, active to do. I don't know. But anyway, uh, what's with celebrity, contrary to what people may think, contrary to what you may believe, with fame and celebrity does not come riches and definitely not wealth. And I'm going to really quickly go over with you the difference between riches and wealth. Riches is simply privilege. Okay, that's what riches is. Okay, it's like money. Okay, I should even call it riches. I'll just say money. It gives you uh, accessibility to things because most celebrities don't have to pay for things. They don't. I remember going to Michael Jackson's concert when I was coming up. Once I got to know him, I met him when I was a teenager. Came into his presence. Um, may he rest in paradise. And you get really good seats at the concert, but then so did Donna Ross. Do I have Donna Ross money? No. Did I at the time? Absolutely not. But it's like the people who really, really need money, or don't need money, I should say, they usually don't because they don't have to spend it. I really don't think that uh, the guy, Princess Diana, I really doubt if she paid for her tickets to go to the Michael Jackson concert when it went to Europe. I just don't think so. I doubt if Diana paid for hers, but people who have the least spend the most, not because we are necessarily careless with our money, but it's mandatory. When you don't know anyone or anything, you have to pay. That's the science of it. That's the way it goes down, unfortunately. And I don't understand why. Uh, I get it, but I don't understand why necessarily. Uh, Now, here's the thing about money. Money works like checks, okay? It's literally paper. It comes from trees. It's not worth anything. You ever heard the expression, it's not worth the paper it's printed on? Well, that's where that saying comes from because when the Treasury Department manufactures money, it manufactures it on something that isn't worth a lot. It's like a note. Okay, it's like an IOU. It's exchanged for the potential wealth that you may or may not have. Okay, so when you get this paper, it's no different from a check. So when you look at the next time you look at a $100 bill, $1,000 bill, whatever it may be, just look at it as though it were the same type of paper that a check is written on because there is no difference. Okay. If there is a difference, it might be a different quality of paper, but in terms of what it's worth nothing. It represents what you potentially are working for, towards, or are worth. Okay. Now, during the Civil War, when the Union and the Confederate went to war, they had to find some type of commonality or common goal of how they were going to work this money situation and if they were going to trade it for union money, what they call a good union dollar, which they never did. That's the reason why the South still has not recovered from that hit. Okay, it hasn't. So there's, and I'll do my best to post. I will post the difference between. Neither of it is worth a shit. Trust me. But one of them has a note on it that says you have to exchange this for gold on demand. The other one doesn't say that. It says, I believe in God we trust. But the other one says you must, you know, do this on demand of the person who is in possession of that quote unquote union dollar. All right. Now, here's the thing with this paper, which is worth absolutely nothing, and gold, diamonds, silver, beryl, whatever's worth something, it's a very easy test. The test is once you cross a border, does it lose its value? If you have to stop at the airport or someplace and change your dollar, your yen, your euro, or you know your shekel, or you have to change your Dutch or Deutsche Mark. I don't even know if they have those anymore for the currency in that country. That means that it's not worth anything. When you go from here to Africa, to Europe, to Venezuela, to Australia, to Austria, you would not have to stop any place and exchange gold for anything. It's worth what it's worth. It's still gold no matter where you go. It's still platinum no matter where you go. It's still silver no matter where you go. And when I get some more time, I'm going to explain to you how silver is worth more than gold, hence the relation of what we now know as platinum. But I don't think I have enough time because I'm already at the, oh my God, the 46-minute mark. So let me move it along. Okay. So if you don't have, if it's worth something, it's worth something everywhere, period. It's like reading, you know, you could be a quantum physicist. Okay. You could be the most intelligent person that there is in your country. Once you cross that border, a kindergartner knows more than you do in China. You can't even read a newspaper for goodness sakes. Okay? So that's the test. Okay? Whether or not you have to change it, and if you do, uh, is it still worth anything no matter how it goes? Is it still worth what it will? Is it still, does it still have worth? Now, of course, the yen and the dollar and all that is going to be worth different depending on where you are. It'll lose or gain in value. But at the same time, things that are really, really worth something are not going to lose its value just because you crossed the border. It's still going to be gold. It's still going to be worth something. It's still going to be able to be traded and marketed. Now, back to the etymological aspect of what I'm getting into next, or the etymology, which is the media. The media tells you, dictates to you what to believe. They tell you what's right and wrong. They tell you whether or not OJ did it. That's why 97% of people who thought he did it or he didn't did it, or didn't did it, whether he did it or he didn't do it, changed their minds. Because the media are the ones who are bringing us the information. If you can't use your own antenna to tap in, what's your antenna? Your hair. That's your antenna. Okay. That's why people were so conscious during the 60s and 70s because of the afro. That's why the inception of the Jerry curl came in, so that it would fall like white folks versus standing up, so that you could tap into the information in the universe. Okay. So that's why no matter what I'm doing, I make sure some parcel of my crop is up so I can get my antenna going on. You know what I mean? And just relaxers, all of that stuff is a ploy by the upper 5% to get our senses to plummet and or go down. Now, media comes from the root word and is also with medium. What's a medium? A medium is a source, a thing, or what have you, or usually a person who is between you, okay, and the Most High. That's going to dictate between you and something else, be it the other side, be it the dead, be it the what they call the angels, which is the messenger, acts as the medium. That's why they call it the media, because they tell you, translate to you what's going on the other side, whatever side it is that you are seeking. And I implore you to be careful with that, because here again, whenever you get something from something or someone, it's going to, just like anyone else would, want something back from you. Okay. And it will get it. Okay. So watch the media when it comes to that. And I think I wrote Dick Gregory and Greg and I wrote an entire um, book about it. But first, let me say this. Back to the money. You have to think etymologically about it. You have to think etymologically about it. You have to think about etymology with everything. Etymologically, you have to think about it all of it, because the way the word and the vocabulary system works, they commingle it in there. They've tied in there. Now, again, I've said it before, they are not going to lie, but they will deceive you. And if you can't see the forest for the trees, that's on you. It was revelatory. You know what I mean? Like the term currency. Okay. Why not just always call it money? Why not always call it a note? Because they have to make sure that they don't lie or their reign will instantly be overtaken. Okay. Currency comes from the root word current. What is current? Now. You can use this money, this dollar now that you are currently in the United States. Then when you get to the border, you change the dollar for the yen, and then that becomes the new currency at that particular time. It is current. You see how that works? Currency? Currency means able to be used in the present. And if it's current, then that means that at some point it wasn't the case in the past. And if it is currency, that means that at some point it's not going to be usable in the future, like it is with the money in Germany. And they've actually literally changed the currency. And they will often do that. Do they give you money for money or match your dollar for dollar? No. You just lucked out. You just SOL, right? Okay. That is talked about in this book called Black or White by me, Dr. L. Jacobson, and Dick Gregory. There are parts of this book that we did together, and I also did an interview with him that is also in here, where actually it's not really an interview as much as it is a conversation that we had. And I will begin to put never before sound bites and visual clips in the videos that I do. And this book is, I'm not just saying it because we did it together, but it's absolutely amazing. Every time I read it, I learn something, and I was a part of putting it together. And I have to say that for me, the most profound part is where you get to the part where it reads in the first couple of pages, God's mirror, and you see the mirror. And when you look in the mirror, you see yourself, and you realize that, wow, God's mirror. Okay, well, who do I see in the mirror? I see me. I am. I am Goddess. This is who I am. Uh, Moving right along, the great quote that we put here, or that I put here, this is my quote. Consider what you do well. Okay. Incorporate that with what you want to do, and there will be guaranteed success. Okay. So if you want to be a singer and you know you suck at it, then it probably wouldn't be a good idea to um, impede upon that or embark upon being a singer. You know, you have to consider what you do well. Okay. I figured that out. Okay. Consider what you do well. Think about what you want to do. Okay. Consider what you do well. Incorporate that with what you want to do, and there will be guaranteed success all of the time. By the way, or you, all of you who don't know it, I'm live right now. So you have to subscribe in order to turn on your um, bell to remind you, well, or to let you know when I'm on live. It's usually sometime when everyone is sleeping on the Pacific Coast because I have to and or want to get through these things. But yeah, this right here, this book here. I'm telling y'all, it's the holy grail. This book right here, it really is. It's something to be had. It's like, I don't know, one of those things that you just can't go without. Okay. The next thing that I wanted to touch on is uh, I made a statement uh, to my brother, and I said to him that the black woman is goddess, that I am God. And he said, "Oh God," he said something to the effect of, "Have you been listening to Polite?" And I said, What do you mean?" And he said, "Polite. Did you listen to Polite?" I said, "I never heard that song. I thought it was a song." And he goes, "No, it's a guy. His name is Polite." I'd never heard of the gentleman, so he sent me emailed me a link to watch, and the link that he sent me to watch was with I don't know if I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't know if he was doing the interviewing or if the young lady was doing the interviewing or what was going on, but he was talking to a lady and they were having a conversation. Maybe it was just a conversation. I don't know how that went, but I, like most people uh, in the country, I don't know if it was international or not, or it was just domestic, well, watched The Flavor of Love. I did watch that, and but I understand there were like more and more like series, like one, two, or whatever. I don't know how many they did, but I only watched the first one, so I didn't remember this girl either. She wasn't on the one that I watched, or she, I don't know what happened. I just don't know. I didn't know who the girl was. Pretty girl, but I didn't. Her name is Delicious, and I think he gives them all a name. I do remember that he would give them all a nickname, and I think, I'm not certain, but I think that her government name is London, and really pretty girl. And they were talking, and I remember them talking about different things. And I don't think that he's from here. And he had like three names or something like that, and multiple wives. And she was asking him about those things, and he was asking her some things. So again, I don't know who was, the moderator of the, or whatever, who was doing the actual, who was the interviewer, I should say, and who was the interviewee. But they were talking, and she said something to him, and he made mention of Catholicism, and she said that she had a degree in English, and because he had made reference to her, in his opinion, being intelligent, and he said the word Catholicism, and she looked extremely confused, and she asked, "What is that?" And he explained to her that it was just the uh, I guess the Catholic constituency of Christianity. It's, in a nutshell. I mean, I didn't think much of it because I mean I went to Catholic school for 12 years, so I figured maybe that was why I knew. But Tina said that she wasn't. She said, "I don't know what kind." Tina goes, "I don't know what kind of education she has. She doesn't even know something as mundane as Catholicism is." And then she's going to brag about having a degree, and she doesn't even know what Catholicism is. Something, that's like a layman term. And I said, well, in my opinion, I don't know about her formal education and her background, but what I do know is from my experience, I feel that the girl, because I'm not certain, I'll say London, or that she, because that's what she said she preferred to be called now from the uh, part that I saw. I feel that she is intelligent, and that because she didn't know uh, what Catholicism is or was or what have you, didn't make her ignorant. I think that makes her intelligent. One, she's not afraid to admit what she didn't know, and two, she asked. So I disagree with Tina on that one. I don't think that made her, uh, lose points. She asked him about his situation with his mother, and he said that he met his mother a week before she died or something like that, and he had only known her being his mother for a week because of things that I'm just not privy to. And he also made mention that he had several wives and that they all knew live together or to obviously know each other and whatnot, and they had children and a functional family. So I looked for that video, and I don't know what one might assume in terms of the life that this gentleman leads. I don't know anything about him. I'm just telling you what I saw, what I perceived. These were very nice looking women who appeared to be extremely erudite. They were uh, nice, and they just seemed to be really, good ladies that I wouldn't have associated with that type of lifestyle. Now, just because that lifestyle isn't for me doesn't mean that that isn't the lifestyle. Now, I could be very well conditioned, so much so in the uh, American culture that I can't see that. But I know me, and I know I don't share, and I wouldn't do well in that situation. But these ladies, if anyone thinks that they, are just some ragamuffins and come from some type of a, basic kind of a background. They seemed intelligent, they spoke eloquently, and they seemed like very nice ladies and intelligent. I don't know what they've got going on in their home. I don't care to know. It's none of my business or anything like that. But to be totally honest with you, I would have probably assumed the opposite, and probably a lot of people do think the to the contrary. But these ladies were basically, on it as far as I'm concerned, not to say that, that Dr. Leia is the judge of who is on it and who's not. But what I found interesting is that he didn't have not not a good relationship with his mother, but he had no relationship with his mother. And I think that the multiple wives, in my opinion, psychologically, from my psychology background and my analytical background, my being a lawyer, I think that it's because he's looking for the satisfaction and satisfying of that female, that mother. And because he didn't have one, I think he's trying to subconsciously fill that void with many, with a polytheistic, type of a lifestyle, you know. Now, that doesn't speak to these women who seem to be extremely intelligent and on top of it. And again, I don't know what's going on in their home, but just speaking from the point of view of Mr. Polite, I think that that may be what's going on, whether he's aware of it or not. I think that that's what's happening along those lines. Furthermore, with the situation of he and the what I would call, I guess, polytheism. Because he said that he's married to all of them. I don't know what state they live in, but in the video that I seen, it was clear that he didn't live or wasn't from uh, the Los Angeles area, because he said in both the video that I seen him in with Miss Delicious or London, and he said it again in another video that he lived in Beverly Hills. And I could see from the video, because they were on his rooftop, that if that's where he lives, he does not live in Beverly Hills, California. He lives in a place called Westwood slash Century City. Not really so much, yeah, Century City slash Westwood. And because I believe this because if you don't live in the Los Angeles area or in California, you wouldn't be privy to the fact that it costs just as much, if not more, to live in Century City and Westwood, which is where he clearly lives, because there's a famous red door on the street on which he lives. I think it's Wilshire, there where he lives, and from the rooftop you could see this red door to this famous church on Wilshire. And I think that maybe because he wants people to have an idea, maybe, of where he is living, who doesn't live here, uh, who've never heard of Westwood or Century City. He wants them to know that he is affluent and that he does stay in an upper scale area, which it is. And again, it costs just as much to live where he is as it does to live where I live in Beverly Hills. If I'm sure he's paying more than I'm paying because he's got more expenses and I'm sure he's got more room. But if you don't live here, you wouldn't know that. And because I guess he figures that you don't know that, generally it would make sense, in my opinion, to say that you live in a city that the rest of the world is more familiar with to give them an idea of where you live or near. I guess. I don't know. But the children were extremely well behaved from the videos that I've seen. The women seemed to get along really well. All kinds of stuff, that I noticed that I don't think that the average person would think of or know in terms of how his lifestyle really goes or whatnot. Um, but they were very intelligent, if you ask me. But here again, I'm not the measuring stick. But they're very beautiful women. Um, they seem to be uh, very in tune with the not the idea, but the fact that the black woman is God. One thing that I want to touch on is the name. Um, if you've ever heard the saying, "What's in a name?" or "A good name is above silver and gold." Okay, and again, he seemed to have had three names, and he was trying to explain to her that I think his gang name or something like that was Cavity. And he said that when he would go home, that he didn't, eh, you know, portray that person or that character, if you will. I'm not saying that he's fronting. I'm just saying that that is not who he, you know, saw himself as when he went home among his family, which is understandable. And all these negative things happened. He went to jail and all this kind of stuff under the guise or ruse or the name of Cavity. And I am saying, this is me, I am saying that everything is in a name, and a good name is above silver and gold. And a name is very important because of the fact that before it's all said and done, whatever your name is, you will fulfill that definition of what that name is before you transition. You will, in some way, if not throughout your entire life, at some point in your life, before you transition, you will fulfill the destiny of that name. That destiny will be fulfilled. Now, cavity, what is it? It's not natural. It's bad. It hurts. It's deep. A cave, a cavity, you know what I'm saying? All these negative things happen, okay, under that name. Um, Polite. I can't tell you anything about that part of it, but as far as I know, he seemed polite, right? He seemed nice enough, kind enough, with the name Polite. But he also said that, if I'm not mistaken, I'm almost certain that he said that his government name is Michael. Now, Michael is one of the most profound names that one can have. And names are unisexual, you know, they are, contrary to what you may have been told or taught. Just like we learned pink is for girls and blue is for boys, it's quite the reverse. We'll talk about that another day. But Michael means who is like God with a question mark. And I challenge you even to try and find someone whose name is Michael who has not made in some way some type of good, profound progression. Okay. Now, now I'm not saying it's foolproof, but I'm saying it's foolproof. It's foolproof. For example, I know a family of, let's say, six. It's like two girls and four boys. And the boys' names are, let's say, Sammy, Johnny, Terry, and Michael. Okay. Michael, I literally know this family, but I made up the other three names because the younger one is really named Michael. Got shot. The bullet went through the car that his mother was driving, hit him in the spine, and to this day, he's paralyzed from the waist down. Sounds horrible, right? And it sounds like a contradiction of what I've just stated because Michael's usually excel. Well, let me tell you, the other brothers are dead. The other brothers got shot and didn't make it. He, on the other hand, has been shot and is functioning better than he was when and before he got shot, which is basically because he was living a life outside of what Michael is, who is like God. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because I was talking to Greg one night, and I was like, you know how it is when you get a little bit of information, you get zealous. I'm like, yeah, I know all this information about these different people, and I'm gonna blow the lid off, and this, that, and he was like, why? Why would you want to do that? I said, because it's true. It's true. And you know it's true. The things that, and Greg said to me, white folks do things all day long that are true, but nobody feels it necessary for them to tell what they do. White folks don't tell, so why do you feel such an innate need to tell about what's going on with our heroes and sheroes? And he explained to me, he said, there are so few heroes and sheroes in the brown community. Well, he wouldn't say community, but in the brown race. Why would you want to take that away from them, them being those who look up to them? We have so few, you know? And can you really, when you say it, feel good enough to feel as though once you tell these things, divulge them, that they outweigh the potential or the actual good that these people did? And I thought about it, and it wasn't a direct hit for me. Some of it was yes, and some of it was kind of no. So some of it I decided to divulge, and others of it I have decided to put a lid on, Or on the third edge of it, of the triangle or tandem, if you will, I decided to tell some, but not all of it. For example, with Martin Luther King. With Martin Luther King, he is actually not Martin Luther King Jr. He's Michael King. Okay. And according to the Freedom of Information Act, you could probably even access this information on Wikipedia. his father allegedly, and I say allegedly because his family uh, was being monitored slash watched all the way back, way years before the man we know as Martin Luther King was ever born. Okay, and he's actually Michael King Jr. and his father is Michael King Sr. and his father is a question mark. Is like they don't know. But I venture to say that his name was probably Michael also. And because a name is so significant, like for example, like the English language is like an extreme slay of Latin or Spanish. So if you really want to know the meaning of a word, it would probably behoove you to go between Latin slash Spanish to Arabic and Hebrew. Not so much Aramaic, but Arabic. Okay. Now, why is this important? This is so significant because of the fact that his family was being monitored for many years. Okay. Before there was an Emmett Till, before there was a Martin Luther King, before there was Dick Gregory, before all of this, okay? They were being monitored by the FBI, CIA, or whomever, both, all of them. And knowing, they're knowing the power of what's in a name. If he had done the things or executed all the things that we know that are Martin Luther King under the name Michael King, things would have been totally different. So the first thing they had to do is change that name. Just like when we came over here on the boat, it's significant. They have to snatch that name. That name, Michael, was too, is too, always will be too powerful. Michael, who is like God? Question mark, last name King. Who is like Michael? Who is like God? King. That didn't work for them. So they wanted it changed. Okay? It's my belief that in the inception of it all, because he comes from a Republican background. Not that it matters because they're all the same big mess. But they monitored that family, not just him. So they feed it to us as though he being Michael slash Martin King, as though he were a erudite, extremely scholastically gifted person, which is not the case. He was mediocre at best academically. Okay. He went to Morehouse College at 15 years old, not because he was smart, but because they were on a timeline and they had to have certain things done at a certain time. All that stuff with the Emmett with the Rosa Parks. I'm telling you, they were on a timeline and they could not do it with him having that name. The name had to be changed first. And according to the records of the Freedom of Information Act, getting them information from the Freedom of Information, and again, you may be able to get, I'm sure it'd be easy to access online. His father changed his own name and Martin slash Michael King's name in 1934. Why? Why? Well, that's why. They watched him at Morehouse when he took classes. He was not the brightest light. Okay. Well, what's the purpose? The purpose is we need someone here to say what? Nonviolent, nonviolent, nonviolent. That's against the universal law, not to protect yourself. That's a universal violation. That's where Greg and I differed greatly when it came to that. We had disparity on very few things, but that was one. But what a lot of people don't know is that Greg marched with Martin and Medgar Evers and Coretta and the whole clique, you know, and he was not nonviolent. At that particular time that he was marching with him, if you hit Greg, he was gonna take you down. That's just where he was at that time. But when he far before he passed, he was at a place where he was totally nonviolent. And he said, and I quote, "Now I'll cuss you out. Now I might cuss you out, but I ain't gonna hit you." You know, that's what he would always say. I might cuss you out, but I ain't gonna hit you. Not me, but the general, the universal you. That's one thing I can say. He never cursed, never said anything out of the way to me, but whatever. And so we don't want to run out of juice here because we're going over time. We're in O2, y'all. I'm sorry. So where something happened with Greg, where he was in an airport and he saw some soldiers. And when he saw those soldiers, he basically assumed that they were going to attack him. That's what he thought. So he said he had his stance and whatnot. And he said, when they come at me, I'm taking them down. And he said, sure enough, his energy was right, but it was a little bit off because he had that sense of negativity in him. You know, that negativity was present. And they walked up on him. And he said he was in the airport and they walked up on him. And I think they were Caucasian. I think they were white. And they said that they just wanted to shake his hand because they were so proud of what he had done. And he was so ashamed that he said he would never, ever lift his hand to another human being. So Greg's nonviolent escapade, venture, awakening, whatever you want to call it, sleep, you know, what have you, came about through something other than the civil rights movement, something other than that of Martin Luther King, something totally different. It wasn't even about that at all. It was his thing, you know? And that's when you really know that you have come to a certain point in your life. And that's when you get there because you get there in your time, not because someone is impeding something upon you. So he marched, he did his thing, he did his time, he he financed the movement, he did all that, but he just was not there. That's a place you have to get to. You know, he astral traveled, he lucid dreamt, like all that. We would talk about all that stuff, you know. And like I said, I'm going to do some sound bites. That, and by the way, he was very much aware that we were being recorded because of the book that we were going to do, which is available at blackorwhite.me, like you and me. That's where the book is available, blackorwhite.me, like you and me. And again, I'm not saying it just because I was fortunate enough to come together with Greg to manifest this, but because it really is a good read. And I learn something every time I read it. And the praises that we got from Dick, of course, praising me on my brilliance. We got praises from Ariana Huffington of the Huffington Post. We got praises from Larry King, who plans to have me on his show when our schedules coincide. And it's just a lot of people. Um, the can't think of what it was on the View with Whoopi, what we called it, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, so Greg got to where he is on his own, you know. And I brought the gentleman Polite up because his name is Michael, I believe, as well. And it's very important that you not give your child a phonetically pleasing name to the ear, but to the gods, to the Most High, phonetically, so that it's just so important that you give your child a name so that they can somehow manifest it. And then they wonder, oh my, I wonder why my life is like this. I wonder why no matter how hard I try, I fail. I take two steps forward, one step back, why is that, type of thing. Um, that's not this, it's not exclusively the name. It isn't, it isn't, but has a lot to do with it, and because the Most High is as great as it is, there's the option of changing one's name. There's that option. So, I say that to say, may you continue to stay in the light and shine bright, and may you continue to stay bright and in the light. Okay? Until next time, I love you dearly, Dr. Leah.